Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
You can tell we're in the end game because of how the body count just skyrocketed.
Holy shit, yeah.
Jesus.
Up.
Who are you saddest about?
Brigitte, I guess.
A lot of good ones, you know? The Bashirs.
Yeah, the Bashirs were sad too.
Bashirs are sad. Hurin.
My man.
R.I.P. Like 5 seconds after he had a point of view, so that was very confusing. I guess that's it, actually.
Yeah.
And Egg. Oh, the real ones.
Maybe I'd be more sad about Egg if I didn't know that it was coming. But it was also just like, yeah, she had to go. That was kind of a
Yeah, it was
cool way
kind
to
of
go.
like an iconic, you know. Yeah, it was a very anime girl type. I will turn the world into crystals.
Yeah.
I will turn my nemesis into crystals.
Crystals.
That was fun. Mazrim Tem. Fuck
Bye,
you.
bitch.
Yeah, beefed it.
Yeah.
Got two. Yeah, body count skyrocketed, not just for the good guys, but also for the baddies. R.I.P. Demandred. No check up on Shendla.
No,
I don't know where she is.
R.I.P. I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
I guess. Wait, what do you do when your evil overlord boyfriend beefs it? You know, where's that book? About the lady who's just like, I have to rebuild after my...
Wheel of Time, number 15. 16, I guess, if you count A New Spring. The Shendla story.
The Shendla files.
The expose.
Yeah. It's me, Shendla.
Everyone's like, who?
Who's Shendla?
Listen, Shendla has a grip on this household.
Yeah.
I need to know what's going on with her. Yeah, Shendla. Not Shendla, sorry. Demandred, Mazrim Tem.
A lot of Sharon channelers beef it.
Yeah. Was that Egg too?
Yeah, and the sort of crystallization that happened. I think she just like took a bunch of them out.
She really just like, if you're gonna go, you know, go out
Let's
iconic,
go.
die historic on the Fury Road.
That's how I want to go out.
She was the real bitch. Yeah, this is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Ushaw.
I'm Sally Goodger.
I'm so sorry if you didn't listen to the spoilers warning at the top of this episode and are like, Davram Bashir dies?
I know. I feel like that was especially cruel.
Yeah, like, it felt like we were just going for fan faves, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least EHR faves.
Yeah, well, after all the shit we've talked, I guess Robert has a little bit of a leg to stand on
He's
there.
like, I'm gonna kill Davram Bashir just to mess with you fucks.
Yeah.
Well, Gaul's still kicking.
Allegedly.
And I'll count on him, you know? So is at least Neald. Haven't heard from Grady in a while. So's Narishma.
Narishma is alive.
Yeah. At a certain point, you just gotta count your blessings. Who's alive? Who's not? Everybody who's not dead, sound off. You know that gif?
Yeah.
Classic.
Light in it.
Okay. Going, you know, the end of the last battle. Not really, though. Just the end of the chapter titled The Last Battle. We are still very much in it.
Yes, ma'am.
We start with a Hurin point of view as he's just fighting. This is pretty standard.
If you've forgotten who Hurin is, he's the guy who can smell violence. So
he's like, I've just been puking on everyone. And I'm like,
you can imagine what a fun time he's having.
Yeah, he is suffering.
Girl, get off the battlefield.
Yeah, like, girl, maybe you could do things other than... I guess he'd have as hard a time in a hospital. I don't know what...
In the Hurinspital. Are you so glad to be home?
I really am. But that's how much I hate the office. Okay, Barrelane is in, speaking of the Hurinspital, Berlane's in the Hurinspital. She's like, hey, it's bad here too. We're doing triage.
Yeah.
Not good. She has an argument with an ale guy about getting the guy Shane to fight, and he's like, they won't. And she's like, okay, well then maybe they could help with hospital tasks. And he's like, yeah, sure. And it's like, you guys haven't been using the guy Shane for
I was
hospital
like, what
tasks?
the fuck are you people doing?
Yeah, what have they been doing?
Who's managing this hospital?
Who's managing the guy Shane?
Yeah.
Like, did we leave no ale on the sort of... Clearly this guy's here. We left no named ale on this major battlefield. Very, very dumb. It just feels like an oversight more than a plot point.
Yeah.
Berlane gets grabbed by someone who's like, come see this. She goes to her room where I thought Perrin was, but I guess he's not. Perrin's around here somewhere. But no, now it's Berlane's new bitch of the week. It's Glad. He's alive. He was rescued by Honora, who is Berlane's Aes Sedai advisor. Aes advisor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, nailed it.
Yeah, Honora, if you haven't been keeping track of her and Berlane's sort of psychosexual relationship, they've been beefing on and off for kind of unknown reasons. We haven't had enough Berlane points of view to really understand the undercurrents here. Mostly what we've had is Perrin smelling them being annoyed at each other, and it's like, well, that doesn't help me.
Yeah, it ties back to Massima somehow.
Yeah, Honora was one of the Aes Sedai who, like, went and visited Massima.
Yeah.
And we still don't really know what that was about.
Yeah.
It was a plot point that was started for no reason. Wasn't it Sayanid earlier in this book who was like, yeah, I visited him. I was probably going to kill him. And you're like, what? Why are we talking about this now?
Why are we talking about that? And why didn't you kill him?
Yeah, and why didn't you kill him? So we don't even know Honora's motives in doing this, but Berlane was mostly pissed that she didn't tell Berlane. So, whatever. Honora, apparently desperate to be back in her good graces, heard the PSA that Galad was bleeding out.
Yeah.
And was like, I know, I'll go rescue him. So she did, while Demandred was distracted fighting Loghain. So I guess Loghain served a single purpose, which was to save Galad's life. But in the process, Honora drew too much on the power and burnt herself out. Which is like, okay, I guess if that was, like, that's a rule of channeling that was established very early on in the series, and I do think it works here in terms of all of the Aes Sedai are now pushing so hard that they're beginning to burn themselves out. I wish it was happening to, like, one or two male characters, too. I don't think we've seen that yet. It seems to be mostly something that women are contending with, but whatever.
Well, women aren't as powerful as men.
They're not as strong.
They're so fragile.
Fainting.
Yeah.
And overestimating their limits.
Yeah, it would be so funny if Loghain burnt himself out fighting Demandred.
Honestly, that would have been a thing for him to do. That would have been the time to do it.
Yeah. It would be, hello, my name is Loghain. I have been, gentled, 2, burnt out.
All the ways to get and not have the power I have gone through.
I have done it. So yeah, Galad is here. He's alive. He has a big scar on his face, which I think is dumb.
Yeah, they're like, he's no longer as perfectly symmetrical as he once was.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be like a grand gesture of Berlane's love, you know, that she's willing to live with imperfection.
With the fact that he's now a little less hot. Actually, scars make people way hotter, in my opinion.
Hotter. Yeah, come on. Everyone knows this.
Everyone loves a face scar, so
I don't watched anime. We all know about Kakashi.
Hell yeah, we know about Kakashi when he first slips up that little eye band.
And you're like, ooh.
You're like, okay, you got hotter somehow? It's almost impossible for Kakashi to get hotter, but...
It's tantalizing. Galad's in and out of consciousness. He is infuriatingly trying to, like, tell Berlane that he has this all-important Foxhead medallion copy, but she does not get that yet because he's mumbling incoherently.
And, like, putting his hand down his shirt, and she's
like, does he want to fuck nasty now?
And you're like, no, girl.
Like, hey, Berlane?
He is bleeding out. Galad
I need you to get it together.
Also lost a hand, much like his so-called brother, Rand, lost a hand, so...
Foils, parallels, it's all there.
Bad parallels and bad foils.
Rand is getting assaulted by the Dark Ones, showing him all the things that are happening on the battlefield. This is where we get a, like, real quick rundown of people who have died. The Bashirs, both Davram and his wife. Hurin, I remember the first time I read this, and still, it's jarring to have a Hurin point of view, not have him die within that point of view, and then get told that he is dead. We're going to talk about this a little bit. Well, I'll just talk about it now. The way when you're flipping points of view works is if you leave a character's point of view only to come back to it later, you are implying that time has passed. Mm-hmm. So leaving, and the amount of points of view between those two is indicative of how much time has passed. Mm-hmm. This is just how our brains work when we're reading. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to have Hurin be one point of view ago, now he's dead, is like, whoa, did he walk off screen and get shot point blank? That's how it feels.
Yeah, specifically because of Hurin, I was like, oh, these aren't things that are actually happening. These are things the Dark One is showing them. And it took me until later when Rand is like, Edwene died, that I was like, oh, these, like, Davram Bashir actually beefed it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm psychologically tormenting you with your dad figure. Yeah. Your other dad figure.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, why did we didn't need a Hurin point of view. Yeah, you're so right, though. Like, changing points of view makes you think that time has passed. And if you're trying to do two characters within the same scene, same moment in time, you have to be, like, so clear about that, about, like, we are in the same moment, and, like, give readers, like, they're saying the same pieces of dialogue to each other or something, you know, like, this is so mind-boggling and confusing.
Yeah, Robert Jordan has more or less successfully pulled this off in the past with things like events that are uniting people across.
Yes.
Across locations into a single point in time, as with the cleansing of Sidon.
Yeah, that was done well. It was annoying to do it so many times, but at least we all knew what it meant.
We talked about that even then, I think, was that we were getting so much page point of view that it was kind of jarring to be going back in time always, but it did unite the narrative.
Yeah.
So, Hurin, the Bashirs, Jory Conger, who's one of the Two Rivers lads, dies in a particularly sad way. Anela, one of the maidens who, I'd say she's one of the top 5 maidens who's been around Rand. And one of the couple of, other people. Carlden, one of the Ashaman.
Yeah, Loyal's buddy.
Loyal's buddy, on their weird freaky road trip together.
Why don't we get more of that buddy cop movie?
What was going on with them? Anyway. So with this, the Dark One's just like, isn't this so sad? They're all dying for you. Rand's sort of regressing in terms of, like, people dying for me and how that's a big trigger for him. It is, at least, Brandon Sanderson has maneuvered us into, this is not women-only zone. This is everyone.
Yeah.
Which is a much more palatable thing for Rand to be hung up on. If Rand was just like, Davram Bashir, but Davram Bashir's wife. Yeah, I'd be like, I'm reaching into the pages to strangle you.
Yeah, you're dead, actually. It's me. I've cut my way into your fight with the Dark One to kill you. The Dragon Reborn.
So it is, a little dramatic, but also genuinely sad to imagine having to watch these things and not feel like you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Mazrim Tem approaches Demandred, who is literally, sitting Zen posture on the ground.
He's so embarrassing.
And you're like, hey.
There are so many instances where Demandred gives Coach from Survivor Season 18 vibes.
Oh my god. I can't unsee it.
Just the embarrassing nickname he gives himself, the way he talks, the way he's behaving.
I'm the Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's so embarrassing.
Anyway, even Mazrim Tem is like, this dude's crazy.
Yeah. I've had enough of him. That's crazy.
But Demandred's like, hey, heard you fucking lost your fight. And Mazrim Tem's like, well, she has a nuke, so...
I did lose.
But...
give me a nuke and then we'll see.
And Demandred's like, okay, have this Sa'angreal that he's been carrying called Sakarnin. We have never heard of Sakarnin in our lives before. This is irrelevant to us. We're just sort of throwing out big Sa'angreal at this point to keeps a playing field
Yeah,
level.
it's kind of unfortunate that, like, magical objects are playing such a huge role in the last battle, and, like, we haven't gotten... Like, we know that they're there, but it's not like they've had personality in the story, I guess. Like,
Yeah, it's not like Kalendor.
Yeah, like, it's, like... It'd be cool if we're like, yeah, we know what Egg is holding is a certain thing. We know that Rand has Kalendor. We know that Demandred has Sakarnan or whatever. But it's just like...
For a series that is so, like, interested in magical objects and giving them a sort of mythos, a la the Horn of Valir, Kalendor, etc., it is disappointing that only some of those objects are playing big roles and others of them are sort of coming out of left field, red shirt style.
Yeah.
I mean, Sakarnan beefs it immediately if an object can beef it.
Sakarnan's just laying on the battlefield.
Sakarnan's like, who can say?
Like, who's that idiot that was holding me?
Yeah, Demandred's like, okay, you can borrow this, but I have attuned to it, which is gaming speak.
Yeah.
You know? And very obviously gaming speak, so that's jarring. He's like, so you can't turn it against me. And Mazerpim's like, damn it, I was immediately going to turn it against you. This sucks. Fine, I'll go kill Edwene and then everything will be fine. Oh boy. Then we get an Elaine point of view. She and Brigitte have pulled back and are just kind of somewhere random, like in ruins or something. She's like, yeah, there are the refugees from Camelin who are collecting arrows over there, and I just have some of my bodyguard around. Unclear what they're doing here. Elaine's kind of anxious to get back on the battlefield. But suddenly the Camelin quote-unquote refugees attack. We may remember from earlier points of view that Hatchetface and his mercenaries were hanging out here in disguise. So, of course, Elaine's guards are overwhelmed. Hatchetface has another one of the copies of the Foxhead medallion, and he uses it to prevent Elaine from channeling.
I guess I never understood that, like, a channeler wearing the medallion would prevent them from channeling.
That's unique to the copies.
Oh, is it? I
For
must have
some-
missed that.
Because it's very weird. That whole sequence with Elaine in literally the last book, I think the last book, or the one before, was very confusing. Like, Elaine tried to
I remember
explain
this
that these
vaguely
were
now.
different, but it was like, We didn't even ever really know the full rules of the Foxhead medallion, because we didn't get channelers trying to wear it and use it. Anyway, so yeah, Elaine is disarmed, more or less. Brigitte is killed in front of her. So now Elaine's also coping with the warder bond being destroyed. Then they... Just a moment of levity here. Someone has found a corpse that is blonde and dressed it up in fancy clothes. Yeah. And they're like, the queen's dead.
Yeah.
To start some sort of battlefield hysteria.
Yeah.
About Elaine being dead. And I'm just imagining people being like, so?
Yeah, okay.
Fucking everyone's dead.
Everyone I know has died.
Yeah,
And also just the, like, it's so gruesome to be like, they, like, tie this corpse to the back of a horse and are gonna, like, parade it around the battlefield. Like, it's so...
very, like, Shakespearean.
Yeah, it's like, what is this, the Iliad?
Way possible. Yeah.
Dragging Hector's...
We're doing fucking corpse mutilation of a strange woman who I guess just matched Elaine's hair color. Probably it doesn't resemble her at all.
It's like the woman is taller than Elaine.
Yeah, it's so sad. So sad.
She's not even pregnant.
So ludicrous.
They're like... Which is a moment of levity is needed because this section is nasty.
Yeah, a moment of levity is needed because immediately Hatchetface is his usual sort of rapey self, but also has now added a dimension of we're going to force Elaine to have a C-section. We finally get a date on her pregnancy now. We are told that she is about 6 months along by some random guy.
Some magical midwife on the battlefield.
Literally this sort of, evil doctor here randomly. I think he's a channeler. They're like, we need to bring your fetuses to Shale Goal. ...
To do what with?
To do what with? Unclear. And they're like, evil doctor's like, yeah, I can do that. You just cut them out and I'll keep them alive long enough to get them to Shale Goal. And it's like, hey, first of all, what the fuck? Second of all, like, okay, putting aside the very obvious gratuitous violence against women.
Yeah.
Which is gross. If you're not aware, this doesn't actually happen. Elaine is fine. Her babies are fine. We will have a significant skip of points of view, which makes that very ambiguous. But when we next see her, not much time has passed and she is okay. I remember reading this the first time and being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is incredibly out of place in the narrative. It's much more characteristic of something like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which very deliberately is like, hey, even pregnant women aren't safe.
Yeah.
And we're throwing that in your face as we're making a point about sort of grimdark fantasy.
Yeah.
Wheel of Time has very much been coddling Elaine as a pregnant person.
Yeah.
Because she's a pregnant person. And so to have that suddenly disrupted here by a man who is threatening to rape her after this is really, really gratuitous.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what to say about it, except that it's super out of place. It didn't need to happen. We're obviously trying to put a lot of characters in peril right now to increase tension, but we definitely did not need to put Elaine in this type of peril. Hatchetface should have been killed off long ago.
Yeah, to your point, Hatchetface himself has been a very out-of-place villain for the Wheel of Time. I know many of our dark friends are, like, rapey and creepy, but they're always held at kind of an arm's length. So, like, Hatchetface's introduction to the narrative and, like, the way he's been so close to Elaine is just, like, really uncomfortable. And for as much as, you're right, Wheel of Time has coddled Elaine as a pregnant person, it's a very gratuitous and unfortunate choice to have put this man in such close contact with her. And then, of course, for this to happen.
Yeah, Wheel of Time has a really tortured relationship with sexual assault, as we've talked about before. Every actual sexual assault within this series has been played as a joke. Mm-hmm. And so to have this very serious thing happening all of a sudden is, again, really jarring and out of place.
Yeah.
Not that it should be played as a joke. I'm definitely not saying that, but Wheel of Time should not have played any of them as a joke.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, too, where it starts to... just everything you've said about the way that it shifts the tone of the narrative completely is so gratuitous and gross, as we keep referencing, but so unnecessary at this point. Main characters are dying left and right. Like, I do not need stakes elevated to a threat to not even, I mean, maybe Elaine's life, like a forced C-section like this on a battlefield with a sword, ? Very dangerous. But, like, I don't need this to, like, up the ante.
Yeah, Elaine was already in danger. Ending this with Brigitte dying is enough for me to be like, wow, Elaine's having in incredible peril right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's bad. Gratuitous violence against women, and just, like, not to beat the dead horse, but also just, like, the violence to her unborn children is also so upsetting.
Yeah.
Just so upsetting.
Yeah, it's really, really upsetting to think about. Yikes. What makes this even worse somehow is that we immediately get a Rand point of view. Where the Dark One has spun another reality, but in this reality it's just nothingness, the void. And he's like, we could have this. This is a compromise. You know, just nothingness. No bad, no good, just nothing. And Rand's like, wow, this is what fucking Moradin wants. And the Dark One's like, yeah, compromise, that's what it is, baby. And Rand's like, no, I reject that. Because of course he does, he's the good guy. He's not gonna do that. But it's just like, going from Elaine in this situation to Rand suffering is...
Yeah.
telling.
Yeah.
Shall we say.
Being like, do you know what's happening to Rand?
Yeah, but Rand?
Do you know that he's undergoing some psychological stress?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that bitch. I hope the Dark One does kill him. At this point, I'm rooting for the Dark One.
When I think at a Min point of view, the Shanshin seem to have retreated to Shanshin, the continent. Very confusing. She's just watching some generals, people we know, have an argument about whether they should return and when. One of the guys is, like, really pro not going back. He's like, Matt beefed it. Let's not overplay our hand. Min, through her viewings, realizes that he is probably also under compulsion, and she also starts using her viewings to try and pinpoint who the spy is. She does a little espionage and knife throwing in order to expose presumably Moghedien. It's not confirmed immediately, but presumably Moghedien hiding disguised as a servant. Yet another unsuccessful knife throw for Min, as Moghedien stops it and then teleports away, and
everyone's like,
oh my god, and then just Moghedien's gone, and you have no plan in place to prevent someone from coming back and doing the same thing.
Pissed me off. She's like, I need to confirm that she's the spy. And I'm like, didn't you already do that? With your magic...
With your magic powers?
And now Moghedien's just fucking gone again.
I know.
I was like, man,
this narrative does not know how to treat Moghedien like a threat, which I kind of get because Moghedien has been so nerfed.
Yeah, when you imprison one of your bad guys, when you enslave one of your bad guys, I should say.
You're not going to take them all that seriously.
I'm just like, I'm very worried about her. I hope she goes and finds a new fulfilling life somewhere, but...
Yeah, but you're also like, okay, so Demandred is this huge mega threat, but Moghedien is just causing some inconvenient chaos.
Yeah, in disguise. Like, Grendal's literally brainwashing people left and right.
Moghedien is not living up to her full potential
she's
the
just...
spider.
Seems to just kind of be hanging.
Just hanging. And there's no guarantee she won't come back, but even if she does, it doesn't seem like that's that big of a deal.
It matters, yeah.
Anyway, Min advises Tuon to return to the battlefield. And Tuon's like, fine. Then we get our Edwene point of view. She is still really thinking about Balefire because Mazrim Tem rejoins the battlefield, now with his big old...
Sakarnan.
Big dick. Big dick is back in town. And he does such a big Balefire that it's like, burning people out of the pattern.
Yeah.
Doing that time reversal thing we've seen in the past, which is fun to have that return. But Edwene's like, rats, this could be really bad. I really need to figure out something to counter Balefire. And luckily, just as he throws it at her, she does. She just summons it from nowhere through her magic girl spirit.
Mm-hmm.
She names it the Flame of Tarvalon, which is silly. Like, we could have had a cool name, like Lightsaber.
Lightsaber. like girl nuke.
The anti-nuke.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer. Whom?
Yeah.
Barbie. This is Oppenheimer and Barbie.
It's Barbenheimer on the battlefield.
Sublime! We could have had that, but no, she names it after her dumb political position.
What if it was like, hello, I'm using the President of the United States on the battlefield? What?
Anyway, we have one of those, don't cross the beams thing, but Edwene overpowers Mazrim Tem because she's just that good. Mazrim Tem gets, disappears in a pillar of crystals and light. This weave Edwene's using is, like, spreading from her and filling the cracks that the Balefire left with this cool crystalline structure, which,
That's cool.
Yeah, cinematic. Neat. I like it. Edwene realizes that she, in doing this, is holding way too much of the power, and that if she lets go, she'll be burnt out. / die, keel over dead.
Yeah.
Kind of unclear. Oh, right before all this happened, she got a report from Egianan that the seals had been recovered and are now in Logain's possession. Edwene tells Leolwyn, she's like, let them know to break the seals when the light shines. It's unclear what this means. It is also unclear how Edwene sort of has this moment of...
It's time.
Yeah, of knowledge. But she kicks Leolwyn out, also severs the bond with her so that Leolwyn won't go berserk. And then just sort of explodes into light.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat.
Yeah, again, if she had to go,
she had to go. It was a pretty epic way to go.
Yeah, pretty good.
I remember being very surprised that Edwene died. I think I went into this last book thinking, like, Nynaeve, if either of the girls was going to beef it, Nynaeve seemed like the more, like, cinematic option for some reason. I don't know why. Having sat with it, I think it's fine that Edwene dies. It's sad that her sort of character arc and all she could do is cut short, but that's death, baby.
Yeah. I've known for a long time, so I think I processed it. I'm sad because I think Egg is a great character. It is frustrating how much Gawain being an idiot plays a role in this happening, but it kind of seems like it would happen.
Yeah, it does feel like Edwene has to die because her partner died.
Yeah. She's got nothing else to live for.
No one really has to, like, live with grief in this way. Again, it's a little frustrating that Edwene's death is immediately used as sort of like an attack on Rand.
Yeah.
I can, like, see and appreciate the full circle moment of being like, Rand left the Two Rivers so determined to, quote-unquote, protect Edwene, while Edwene was so determined to make her own way in the world and not need protection. And Edwene gets this really epic moment. And Rand is like, oh my god, I failed her. Put a pin in that. We get a brief Leanne point of view where she's, like, spreading the word that Edwene's dead. Another brief Berylene point of view as she finally realizes that Galad has this medallion that he's trying to get back to Matt. And she goes to send it, apparently. Then a Matt point of view as he learns that Edwene has died. As well as that all of the Sharan Channelers are gone in her sort of last wave. Argonda is Matt's secretary right now, which is so wild.
Yeah, what a great secretary to have.
He's just like got his fucking wounded leg up on a rock or whatever, keeping it elevated. He's very Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Lan is also here. It's so jarring when Lan calls Matt Cathan. I'm like, what?
Who is
you
that?
You guys have known each other for like 2 years.
It's like he calls you Mandragoran or whatever.
Matt's like, hi?
Okay, I didn't realize we weren't friends.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'll take you out of my yearbook. God.
I'm deleting your contact right now. Unfriending you.
Yeah. Matt tells Lan, hey, go check on the main situation to see if we've got any more fighters who are healed from the hospital. So, we know now. Lan is on a collision course with this medallion. Matt has someone raise the banner that has the, like, Aes Sedai yin-yang symbol, the Dragon Reborn symbol. Matt finds out that Elaine is dead, quote-unquote dead. Again, this makes us think, okay, some time has passed since Mystery Corpse was loosed onto the battlefield. Okay.
Jesus Christ, this fucking book.
He finds out that, Bashir's dead.
Which, if you're tracking, makes Fail the Queen of Saldia.
Yeah, if you're keeping an eye on the Saldian Game of Thrones.
Yeah, if you are as invested in it as I am, just know that.
Fail, currently running for her life from Trollocs or whoever, is the Queen of Saldia. Matt has Niald. Matt gets a report from Neff and Niald, who are like, hey, Shanshan already. Well, first Niald says, it is done. And Matt says, what of Tuon? And I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
It is over. It is done.
What? I have no idea. Anyway, Neff's like, Shanshan are ready to come back. Matt's like, okay, tell them, do it. Then he is like, Niald, go to Talmanes to move forward with the plan. So I guess Talmanes and the cannons are about to get
the boys are back in town.
Yanked out of the death cave. Meanwhile, Demandred starts yelling again, because of course he can't not be yelling. And everyone realizes, oh, there's a single horseman charging him. And Matt recognizes him, I guess, as Lan. Matt's just like, oh, it's Lan. Yep, you guys, Lan is the one who's going to defeat Demandred. Because Lan is still relevant somehow.
Do you think Demandred's voice got sore at any point? You think he was at some point, he was like, Shendla, I need a lozenge.
Shendla, give me the cough drops.
Had to make a little cup of chamomile tea.
Where are my cough drops? Where is my soothing tinctures?
Yeah. Exactly.
Child emperor shit.
Yeah.
Oliver's still in the cave.
Trollocs are like biting and scratching
Trollocs are
him.
like, "Meh." And Oliver's like, oh, this is a terrible situation. Loyal is sitting on a stump when he realizes that Lan is going to do something quote-unquote epic, so he's like, I gotta go witness this.
Boring.
Tam realizes that Lan is going for it, and he has all the Two Rivers men sort of clear a path for Lan with archery and arrows that are on fire. You know, this is meant to be another cinematic moment. If you
Boom, a Molotov cocktail.
Boom. Another problem. Lan gets set on fire accidentally. The Two Rivers, the famous Two Rivers marksmanship finally fails because everyone's going on no sleep and no food. And that's how he dies. No.
If only. I just wish all these, like, self-important men beefed it or got, you know, embarrassed by Demandred just one after another. Like, then I would be like, Demandred's narrative, purpose in the narrative means a lot to me.
Yeah, it would have been so funny if Demandred was like, the only person who can kill me is the Dragon Reborn, and then that was true.
Yeah, and then he was just like...
Yeah, so funny. No, Demandred has established that if Lews Therin ever does come to face him, then they'll just fight with swords.
Yeah.
Because this is a real, true dick measuring contest.
Yeah, at some point, when Demandred gives Mazrim Tem his big sighing reel, Mazrim Tem's like, don't you need this to fight the Dragon Reborn? And Demandred's like, what would that prove? I have to do on my own merit. And Mazrim Tem, to his credit, is like, that's dumb.
Mazrim Tem's like, okay.
Why would you not use your big weapon?
You have a nuke. Use it. That's so stupid.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, thanks for the weapon.
Anyway, I'm going to immediately get it locked in crystal.
Yeah.
Unusable by anyone.
Slay.
Yeah, all these incredibly self-important men. Lan rolls up and is like, I'm gonna kill you. And Demandred's like, hee.
Who are you?
I love fighting. Men.
She's like, Rand is upset.
Rand is upset. He sees people dying. He sees Elaine, captive and alone, quote unquote. But in the back of his mind, a voice, frail, almost forgotten, let go. And I'm like, is this Lews Therin being like, yo, I've been hiding. You thought you fixed it. You thought you fixed the schizophrenia, but I'm still here. And now I'm going to tell you yet again, just die, bitch. Just do it. Yeah, it's unclear.
It would be so funny if Lews Therin popped up at this moment to be like, actually, I've thought a lot about it, and I think the Dark One should win, so.
Keep that on lock. No, we don't know who is speaking to Rand as of yet. Or what. Then we have Lan fight and kill Demandred. Cinematically, he does it by coming full circle on that dumb sword move way back from book 2, which is where you let the other guy stab you so that you can get inside his guard and kill him. I appreciate the full circle moment. I always appreciate some narrative symmetry, even if the narrative is dumb.
Sure. It's satisfying. I'll give it that.
Obviously, the whole killing Demandred subplot is exhausting and silly.
Farts.
Farts.
It's farts at best.
Tomato.
Yeah, truly. Demandred is giving jobless and unemployed. But at least he has a passion.
His passion is killing Rand. And you're like, whatever, at least it's a hobby. Lan doesn't have any of those.
Yeah, you're right. Demandred has a hobby. He's got a fire inside of him. And I also think Rand is annoying, so...
I can respect it.
Yeah, I can respect the grind.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of ways to resuscitate this plotline after it got this far.
No. The thing is dumb. Like, I think Demandred is a stupid villain to have on the battlefield at this point. We have talked about that in exhaustion. But just like the whole thing of being like, we're going to take some of our best sword boys and our one decent magic boy, but it has to be Lan. It has to be this book's pillar of masculinity. Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson's most favorite guy. The guy who is best at swords and masculinity and best at just being a dude.
Yeah,
it has to be him.
Of course, he's best at embodying the types of masculinity that this book love so much, which
Yeah.
is self-sacrifice, but also killing your enemy.
Yeah.
Doing whatever it takes to fulfill your duty and your honor.
Your honor.
Blah, 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 blah. Purely from a, like, climactic standpoint in terms of who is getting epic moments. I think Lan kind of already had his epic moment at the end of last book. It was silly also, Lan's sort of last charge.
Yeah, but he had one. I also think it is very... Demandred is set up as one of the main villains in this book, and it feels really out of place for Lan, like one of our sort of B-tier characters,
Yeah.
to get this. It should have been Matt, and it's very annoying that it's not.
Yeah. Matt is just doing so little at this point.
Yeah, like-
that it just seems weird that he's not like, okay, I've done everything I can with the whole battle plan. Shit's falling apart. The sort of last thing on my to-do list is take out Demandred.
Yeah.
If anyone was going to do it, should have been Matt. I also think that would have been, on some level, at least, you know, I'm going to keep calling it a dick measuring contest because that is so patently what
Yeah,
it is.
yep.
This sort of measurement of whose masculinity outmatches whose.
Yep.
You know, who gets to kill Demandred. But Matt so classically beat Gawain and Galad's asses when he was sick and on the verge of death in one of the series' best moments.
Yeah.
That then having him come and fucking kick Demandred's ass would have been, again, narratively full circle.
Yeah, totally. And just Matt, as someone who has subverted this series' pinnacles of masculinity in so many ways, it would be really fun for him to come in and be like, what, like, it's hard?
Hey, what, like, it's hard, and be like, I'm gonna kill you via trickery and
Yeah.
riz.
No, quote-unquote, honor or duty
Yeah.
to it. These, meaningless facades that everyone is so invested in holding up.
Really, the funniest thing would have been if Matt was actively trying not to fight Demandred.
Yeah.
Like, if Demandred pivoted halfway through the battle and was like, okay, forget Lews Therin, I'm actually going after this guy who's foiling all my plots. Mm-hmm. Started chasing after Matt, and Matt's like,
I'm on the run.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That would, give us more of a Matt running weirdly around the battlefield, and then just accidentally
Yeah.
run into him.
Classic Matt style,
In
baby.
a moment of quote-unquote luck, because this is what fate needs him to do. And Matt absolutely doesn't want to do it, but that's Matt's style.
That's where he is, baby.
That's what he does best, is the things he doesn't want to do.
And then he bonks Demandred on the head with his big spear.
Yeah, and is like, oh, actually that was very easy. You're telling me Galad beefed it?
And you tell me Galad beefed it? Gawain
Yikes.
literally died?
Gawain died?
Logain is MIA? Embarrassing.
Okay, yeah, we've beat this dead horse. Sorry, I don't mean to be insensitive to Bella.
Okay.
Yeah. Bad. The Lan shit, at least. And the Elaine shit. Egg had a really good final moment.
I wish the whole final section was just about Egg. I feel like everything else was so unnecessary. Egg could have just fought Demandred. It could have been Demandred that she killed in the crystals, not fucking Mazrim Tem.
Yeah, someone else should have killed Mazrim Tem.
Logain should have killed Mazrim Tem. Why is it this hard for
word.
these two men to conceptualize the parallels they have built into the narrative? I don't understand.
I know, it's nuts. Yeah, the only satisfying conclusions I would have had with Demandred would be if Matt killed him or Edwin did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, like, ending this chapter on Lan's killing Demandred makes it so significant.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it be like, this is the turning point. From now on, it's an uphill battle. Or,
Yeah.
we're going uphill. It'll be great. Lan, if I wasn't clear, it's ambiguous whether he's alive or dead. It's another, like, the world went dark.
Mm-hmm.
This already happened with Galad, and Galad turned out to be fine, so
Who knows?
who knows, as of yet.
I wish Lan fucking beefs it.
I mean,
I hope he does. I'm sick of that bitch.
he wants to, so badly.
For 14 books, all he has wanted is to die.
Like, that's another thing. Lan's just going eyes wide open into this is suicidal, and we're meant to be like, wow, that's so nice.
What about your wife?
No, it's not.
What
Shut
about
up.
your wife?
Yeah, literally, Gawain just did this exact thing to Edwin, and it had huge repercussions. I didn't like that, but it did.
But it did. Like, at least the book was true to that mechanic. And, like, Nynaeve is literally holding the world together by keeping Alana alive.
Yeah, so
Do you think she can deal with this right now?
maybe don't do this.
God, you're so selfish.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that by putting it at the end of the chapter, it gives Lan's death more, quote-unquote, death more significance than Edwine's. Which is annoying, because as you pointed out, Lan is sort of a B-plot, B-tier character. B-tier in the idea that, like, you know, he's been less significant than Edwine, narratively speaking, but also she gets status as one of the people to leave the Two Rivers. Mm-hmm. Lan's just kind of a mentor guy who frankly should have beefed it long ago as the mentor.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to be a B-tier character. It's just like the Emmonsfield Five are our A-tier characters.
And so if one of them dies, then it's a huge fucking deal.
It's a big fucking deal. Perrin, question mark?
Oh my god, what's up with Perrin? Yeah.
Yeah, ERA should, yeah.
The good news is that this chapter is finally fucking over.
And I'm fundamentally changed for the worse.
And I'm mad about it.
Earlier I was like, oh, I should try and summarize the entire last battle as a bit on the podcast. And then I was like, I can't even do enough of it to make it feasible. Like,
it's not even over. Yeah.
It's so many points of view. Like, structurally, I know I have made jokes about the length of this chapter on the internet, and multiple people have rebutted with the idea that it's long because you're supposed to feel as exhausted as the characters feel, form and content. Mm-hmm. I guess there's some truth to that, but I don't really know what I as a reader get out of being exhausted. You know, like, I don't think the Wheel of Time is anti-war enough for that to be like a functional affect of reading.
Yeah, for sure.
So I can totally see where you guys are coming from. I don't think that personally holds a lot of weight. I think it's just long for, honestly, kind of like the bit of it, kind of the shock value more than anything.
Be like, it's so epic.
Yeah. Way too many points of view, way too exhausting.
We still have 100 pages left.
Jesus Christ, this book is so long.
There's a lot to wrap up, of course. A lot of people are at their sort of low points, and we now have to rescue them or kill them, whichever.
You only have two options.
You die or you do something. So, in terms of our, podcasting experience, check the reading schedule. I think we're reading 4 very short chapters next time. Chapters are going to be quite short, and we will still be bouncing around points of view a lot.
I've had enough of this. Mm-hmm. I would like to know what the fuck is going on in any given place at any given time. I still have no idea how long the last battle chapter, took in text time. A day? 2 days? 12 hours?
I think it's been a day, because Loyal was like, I've been fighting for almost a whole day. It's like, guys, so have I, it feels like.
Yikes. Okay, well, we did it.
We did it. Mile marker. R.I.P. Egg.
R.I.P. Egg. That's my girl. Yeah. And she beefed it because of her boyfriend. Sorry, her husband.
Stupid ass husband. Well, thanks for listening if you did.
I don't know.
You might have heard Davin Bashir's dead and tuned out immediately.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, and that would be a totally valid response. Thanks to Glenn McKenzie for our theme song. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon and our followers on social media.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have a sign off?
I have to see a rheumatologist. Rheumatologists, if you are not familiar, deal with kind of autoimmune issues, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that. So I see mine for sort of complex reasons, but I was talking to him about fatigue. I was like, I'm incredibly fatigued all the time. I get 9 hours of sleep a night and I'm just exhausted. He was like, well, are you working out? And I'm like, yes. He's like, but aerobic exercise? And I'm like, yes. These are all the things that I'm doing. And he's like, well, I could put you on this drug to help you sleep. And I'm like, I know this helps a lot of people. This is what I'm looking for. But I'm like, okay, tell me more about it. And he's like, well, it's technically an amphetamine. And I was like,
oh.
What?
Oh.
He was like, I promise it's been tried. And I'm like, I'm not saying that it hasn't been tried.
I'm not saying you're trying to dilly meth right now. But it's still a little shocking.
Yeah, I was just like, that's not really what I was looking for. I don't really want to be. He's like, it's very habit forming. And I'm like, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll just try some other stuff on my own, I guess. It's literally the only thing you can give me is a low-grade amphetamine.
Okay, Ed. Well,
I
wish I could do some fucking meth after this.
Yeah, seriously. Okay,
Bye,
bye
everyone.
bye.